Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to our Thursday Land Pilot live call. And we have a special guest today, and I'm really excited to have him on because let me say it like this. For me, he's one of the voices in the industry together with his two brothers. I thought always there were just like two of you, but you're three of you, right? Like that's what we learned last week. He has built an amazing land operation. He has built an amazing coaching universe. He has built a bunch of services that support land flippers and land investors in their profession. And I couldn't be more honored than this to have him on here. And I want to say hello to Mr. Ron Apke. How are you today, my friend?
Hey Robin, yeah, appreciate you having me on today. Mike, my other brother, was on last week. He said nothing but good things about yourself, about the community. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm honored to be here.
Absolutely. Ron, bring us a little bit in the picture for the people that don't know you, that maybe haven't heard about you. I mean, you're one of the faces behind the land portal, but there's so much more about you. Bring us a little bit into your into the journey you made maybe in life and maybe in land.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in land for about 6 years. Prior to that, I was a college basketball coach. I did normal sales jobs and was kind of looking for a way where I could be my own boss. I think where a lot of us come from. And yeah, Daniel, my younger brother, brought the idea of land to me. So we got started in that about 6 years ago. Kind of went just right into it. We did I don't know, first 12 months we might have done 20, 25 deals. Our second 12 months we did like 60 deals and just kept on scaling up from there. Um, we started some education probably 3 years in, just education, just to help honestly friends and family to start who are interested in what we were doing. Did some one-on-one coaching stuff. And it was probably about 3 years ago, maybe a little less than 3 years ago, when we started talking about like the gaps in the industry and how we can help the industry from a broader perspective. And for us, data has always been, I'm a data person. Data was always a huge driver, and there were no softwares really fully built for land to where like I was confident in them. I believe there were some, but like there's nothing that just that I felt was serving land investors as well as it could be, or as well as something could be. So that's when we started building Land Portal about probably about 30 months ago. We started building it, released it just over 2 years ago. But yeah, our goal there, like our motivation for building it was we could always filter out based on like seller characteristics, mortgage, liens, all these stuff. But what you could never filter out prior to Land Portal was bad land. Like for me, we did deals in Alabama and Kentucky and these very like these places with historically bad county data where we were sending 60, 70 cent mailers and 30% of our people had landlocked land. The land wasn't actually vacant. It had a mobile home on it. So our goal when building Land Portal was to help people target that land that they actually want to acquire, opposed to just this bulk. You can't really filter things out. So that was our goal from the start.
I love it. I love it. Bring us a little bit like, do you still run an investing operation too, right? I'm right about that, right?
Yeah, we do a lot of so what we transitioned probably about might be 3 years ago to like we don't do any deals that are under six figures just from a time perspective. Like it was a very conscious decision, Dan and I, when we met. We're just like we gotta kind of use our time a little more efficiently. So a lot of subdivides, like if I don't do a deal in 2 months, like I'm fine with it. I am waiting for the right deals. Like we're very selective in what we do because we understand the time on the back end and we try to do that. We'll do some assignments for other things that come across our desk. But yeah, we're bigger deals for the most part anywhere. I mean, six figures kind of like we go $200,000 purchases up to, I don't know, $2 million purchases and just everything in between, but project based stuff and sometimes one a month, sometimes one every, it depends in terms of that. It's definitely turned into us personally into less of a volume game for sure.
I love that. I love that. I wanted to go a little bit into that, and um and I think it's a topic that's not discussed enough. Like data quality, right? We live in the times of like AI and everyone is talking about that, but it's also like, and I think that's like so much in the land investing world true for forever. It's like garbage in, garbage out, right? This is what you're experiencing. Like bring us a little bit into this like thing, like how important is data? Like, and how, where do you see the major issues between like, hey, this is when you pull data like in XYZ, and this is when you pull data at land portal, like this is why it's so good.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. A lot there. I think data is everything in terms of like you're trying to reach out to landowners, like having quality data, understanding what asset they own, understanding what you're trying to target is really everything when it comes down to it. What we focus on with Land Portal is just the highest quality. I'm not big on like saying another software doesn't do it as well. I know we do it as well as we possibly can do it from our perspective. But what I know, like you look at skip tracing data, and essentially, like in terms of your hit rates, anything like that. There's a lot of free skip tracing out there. There's a lot of people paying us a lot of money, like money for skip tracing because of the quality. Like if everyone, like just if quality wasn't a focus, like go find something for free, go do it other ways. So I just see it like it's not for everyone, 100%. Like it's not for everyone. Some people are like, just give me the most lines of data. I don't care what's in it. I don't care if it's slope land. But what you can do with Land Portal is actually filter out bad quality land by definition. What is bad quality land? It doesn't have access. It's in a floodplain, wetlands, overly sloped where it's not buildable. So those are the kind of things we try to overlap. So because for us, we transitioned our business to a more sniper approach. So I want to give the ability road frontage. So I want to give people the ability to do the same stuff, and that's why we built a lot of things on top. Our slope buildability feature that we built, which is AI machine learning built into it, is one of the most used things within Land Portal, and that's something that just eliminates slope land. Like there's such a high volume of land in our country that isn't buildable because of slope.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see it the same. Like slope is probably one of the deal killers, but I mean, you also provide solutions about landlocked parcels. You talked about that. Let's maybe get a little bit into that because I get asked all the time, Robin, like, "Hey, this parcel is landlocked, but it's not that bad, right?" Like,
Yeah.
it's like they get into that, and I think you have solutions for that. And also, like, let's talk a little bit about like floodplains and wetlands. What you think like the effect on this is on property values and on list quality.
Yeah, so landlocked, like I'm not a big fan of landlocked. Obviously, there are things like what we do, we can't find easements. Like we're not finding like some deeded easement like that. Land portal is not. If you want to go after those, like you're gonna have to go after everything. But like public access, like we have all that down pat in terms of that, and it matters your marketing method. Like some people have really, really expensive modes of marketing. Some people are sending handwritten mail. Some people are spending $1 per outreach to people with different methods. So for me, those people, like when you're doing the higher expense in terms of your outreach, like I think the more you want to dial in your data. And that means like just knowing what you're going after. Landlock's huge. Wetlands and floodplain, what we do in there, like there are properties you can make money on 100% in a floodplain in wetlands. You just got to understand kind of what the situation is with each parcel. Like a lot of times I just like, I don't want more than half of my property in a floodplain or in wetlands. It matters what size we're going for. Like if it's a 100-acre parcel, I might be fine if 70% of it is in a floodplain because
Yeah.
you can still build on it. It's still hunting land, everything like that. But it really matters what your goal is when you're getting into it. Like, what are you looking for? Are you trying to subdivide? Because maybe you don't want 70% of your property in a floodplain. Maybe you need like no more than 20% if you're trying to cut up this parcel a bunch of times and you got to sell a bunch of smaller parcels. So, it really, I always tell people, like, what's your goal coming into this? Your list to how you pull data is going to be aligned with what you're trying to do on the back end.
And I think this is like one of the principles I preach the most. It's always like when you start it, always have the end in mind, right? Like this is what you're literally saying. It's like I think what I see happening a lot in this industry, talking to a bunch of investors on a daily basis, like you do, is a lot of people just are not pretty clear. What do I want to get out of this, right? Like what kind of deal do I want to do? Like what kind of business do I want to run? Because it's like I sometimes have the feeling there's so many ways of doing this business, and everyone tries to do everything instead of focusing on that one thing that really like is it like I want to do $40,000 assignments in Florida, or I want to do 40-acre rural country deals in Florida. It's a completely different thing, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, like I think having business plan, like it is like a lot of people in the last 6, 12 months, like this is a business. And I think a lot of people have come in, like maybe it's other voices, whatever it is, like who like you just quit, you just it's easy to make money, like everything's going to be easy, everything's just going to fall in your plate. But if you really come in like with a business plan, like this is what I want to do, I want to go after subdivides in Georgia. All right, that makes a ton of sense. Our data, our list we're going to pull together, whatever we're going to do is going to be very particular to what you're trying to do. Like we're not going to pull 1 acre lots if you're trying to subdivide in Georgia. We're not going to pull 100 acre lots with 50 feet of road frontage or whatever it is, like these flag shaped things, which make that a lot more difficult. So, yeah, having a business plan, not even like a structured business plan, just knowing what you're getting into, knowing what your end goals are really important.
Yeah. So I brought a course together end of last year, like the land game plan, and that's the very first thing I start because to say like, listen, the problem is when you don't know where you're heading, it's like you never sit in a car, get into your car and drive somewhere. Right, like you always have probably a goal in mind. Like it's pretty rare that you do that. And maybe you like that to calm down and all of that, yeah. But like normally, what you don't do is like you just get into a car and just start driving, right? So and with the end in mind, it's pretty much that. Um, let us let so what I see happening a lot is data quality is bad, right? Like let's talk a little bit about that from a perspective. What does it really mean when the data is bad? Like what does it mean for your business when you don't spend attention on that one?
You're going to be reaching out to the wrong people. You're going to be sent whatever your outreach is. Like ownership isn't going to be clear, acreage isn't going to be clear, and I want to be clear, like no software is perfect in terms of it. What we do at land portal, like we aggregate our data from a lot of different sources, we cross check it, like it is not like just we're not just reselling something or whatever that comes from somewhere else. There's a lot of different sources. So yeah, I mean, what bad quality data does that you might not notice when you're in it. You're like, I'm making money. Even successful people might be getting data somewhere else, and it's like, or wherever, and like you don't realize it because you really don't know the other side of it. But those phone calls coming back where I don't own this property, or it just takes up time. I'm really big in data quality and all that because not necessarily it does matter on the front end in terms of spend, how much you spend on marketing, but I am really big into the time aspect of it. How much time am I going to talk or use talking to the wrong owner, talking to the person that has a landlocked property that I have no interest in? That's where a lot of like your time's expensive in this business, in this world in general. And if you're wasting time talking to the wrong people, I care more about that personally, at least now where I am. A lot of people first starting, like they care about like the input cost. They don't care about the time on the phone. But that being said, the input cost is the same. Can get rid of a lot of quote unquote bad data when you are trying to filter out. But yeah, you don't know till you test things out. We have people doing 500,000 skip traces, 500,000 exports, who are extremely data oriented, who do send 400,000 or 500,000 texts per month, and I'm happy to have them as customers as long as we have. I'm happy, and they give me so much information in terms of if they see something, so we can make quick adjustments if needed. So yeah, the data quality is everything. I think just if your data is 10% off or whatever it is, like if you could make a 10% improvement, it's pretty significant in your business in the long run.
Yeah, I think that as well. And in the end, it's like actual dollars you spend, right? Like it's when you have a data set that's like 10% off and you spend like you spend like $10,000 a month to make the numbers easy, right? Like for my German mind here, that means like $1,000 just go into the garbage, right? When you don't spend a lot of attention there, and especially where we are in land investing right now, and that leads me into my next topic. I'm happy I found that bridge, right? Um, is we always need to make sure that we have good data, but like one of the questions I get asked the most is where do I spend my dollars? Like where should I go to in 2026 into marketing? Because the market is softer. Like what do you think is a good answer to the question like, hey, when I start today or I'm in it and it's not working so well, like how should I take and choose the right counties? Because it's something the land portal does too, right? Like or
Yep.
the right markets to go into. What do you see are like best practices as of today to do it?
So I think for someone first getting started, and this is kind of going to lead to a similar answer to what we had before. But I think when people are first getting started, like the most opportunity is rural America with land that actually moves. You're big on dispositions. I know you are, Robin, in terms of like, you don't want to go to areas and go buy. I reviewed a deal yesterday for someone. It was in, I've done a lot of deals in Mississippi. I understand Mississippi's market pretty well, but there's a county in Mississippi that I did not recognize. I'm like, I don't know where this is. Because I just usually recognize counties. You've been in this long enough. And it was Adams County, Mississippi. And I'm like, before I even looked at it, I'm like, I have concerns about this selling fast because I know where in Mississippi you can sell land. And I just like, that's what I told him when I was reviewing the deal. It's like, yeah, this is rural. I think you have it at a good price. I really do, but I have no damn clue who's going to buy this property. Like, that's the thing. So you got to think about dispositions. But I think the gap, the opportunity, there are counties in rural America that are very, very rural, sub 50 people per square mile, but people are buying land. And those are like, if you can find those counties when you're first starting, there's a ton of opportunity. I've talked about it a lot. I don't know if I've ever said the county. So one of our first counties that we had the most success from was Crawford County, Georgia. A you look at it on in a lot of data points like, okay, there's not enough things selling. It hasn't selling a ton of things. Then you look on Lamport, you look on days on market, you actually go into individual parcels and you see how long things are sitting. It's like that was on the market for 2 days, then it went pending. We sent 1,100 mailers, we got 12 deals in this county. Like it's not going to happen again, I don't think. But it was a rural county that land also moved in. Like if people with enough, I just noticed it from things just selling. Like something went on the market and then it sold. Something 3 months after that went on the market and sold. So I had an idea that there was more buyers in the market. There just wasn't enough inventory going on, but it was really rural. Might have been like 37, 40 people per square mile. So I think that's the best opportunity when you're first coming in, rural enough where there's not a ton of realtors, there's not a ton of competition, whatever. But you need to make sure things can move. And it's not going to be as that was 2021 or something like that, where things were moving a lot faster. So it might not be 2 days, it might be a month that you're looking for things to sell in. But you don't want to go into areas when you're first starting that you can acquire land and you can't sell it. Because I see that more than we used to, I think.
I agree with you, and it's again, it's having the end in mind, right? Like when you really pick markets. Um, in the very end, one of my mentors pretty early in my career said, you need to sell things that people actually buy, right? And he's like really right at this, right? I think more companies have closed that didn't follow that rule. And I think a lot of tech companies are built like this right now in this tech bubble, right? Like, hey, nobody will ever buy whatever you build there. So can Land Portal support with that? Like because I know you have a lot of data, you can look into that and say, okay, we see some high level data to make like some high level decision. Like to what extent can it support in that process?
Yeah, I mean, you could go to Georgia right now in Land Portal, and we have a quote unquote, we have a drill deep section, is what it's called. And you can type in, I want Georgia. Maybe you put in a certain 20 counties that you like in there or something. You're like, I want anything, let's just say under 150 people per square mile population density. And then you maybe go days on market. I want sub 50 days on market, and it's going to tell you all the counties within there. And we're building an AI tool within there as well, where you can actually talk to it. That is not there yet, but you can right now go and filter out based on your things. Days on market, a certain thing, population density. We also have growth. So is the county growing over the last few years? I think that's a big one that's going to kind of align with days on market, and especially in these rural counties. You don't want a rural county where it's negative 7% population in the last 3, 4 years. It's probably not going to be good. Usually I just do above zero. It's grown in the last 4 years. Population density is sub 150, somewhere in there. And this is for newer people. And days on market is under 50, under 60, somewhere in that region. That gives you a good starting point of maybe 5 to 7 counties that can fit.
How do you see competition with these fast turning counties, right? Like, so from my experience, like, especially we're living in 2026, right? We have like friends of us and people that we know really well that are bringing 150, 200 students in a month, right? Like, and they're just like cranking it. Like, um, how do you see the topic of saturation right now in the market? Like when we look into new counties.
I mean, it's, I guess, something I don't think it's. healthy, honestly, if you're getting into this business to like be overthinking that, in my opinion. Like, I think what you can affect is like how good of an operator you can be, in my opinion. Like, I talk to people all the time who that's the most like those are the most successful people I talk to. It's like they're just like, yeah, just go into the county. I have my marketing routine. I work every single lead. I think that's a key. And I think people who run businesses well don't realize how poorly other people potentially run their businesses in terms of just responding to leads. Like you and I, you think it's crazy to not respond to a lead the same day or something like that. Someone who's interested in selling their land. I promise you it happens more times than not. People do not respond. People do not build relationships. People do not like problem solve for sellers. So, yeah, I mean, it's more of a thing than when I first started in this business, I would say. But I don't know. I just, I for me personally, like when I'm giving people advice, like don't worry. Like if you want to come into this business, analyze the competition before that. Once you decide like this is the business for me, like I just don't think you should think about it, honestly.
Yeah, and I think that's really great advice, right? Because what you say is build the operation first, optimize later, right? And this is where I see a lot of people struggling with, it's like in the setup phase of the business, right? Like I have seen more businesses not working because people were worrying like for like 3 months, how do I build my website? Like like you don't get rich on a website. You get rich by activity. And I love that message, Ron, like really to say like, hey, you know what? Get the flow rolling and then make it better later. This is like literally what you're saying, and don't overthink it probably, right? Because we have
Mhm.
all this data, we can probably like spend like days and hours and months on that. Like, what is the best data now, right? I don't know if you see people struggling with that.
Yep. I was and sometimes like being a part of these communities can like infect your mind too with this stuff. And whether you're hearing about a certain marketing strategy, you're thinking like, so it's very valuable to network, to do these calls, everything like that. But like you hear, there's also negative people along with that who like tried something one time and it didn't work, and that noise is really loud. Kind of like social media. Like social media, the negative people are much more loud than the people that are successful. I was talking to our coach today. He coaches 40 people, one-on-one coaching. It's his full-time job. And I was talking to him about direct mail, texting, all these things. And I was like, how is direct mail? Like I had in my head that like normal direct mail wasn't working as well. And I was talking to him. He's like, why are we negative about direct mail? Like my students are doing amazing with direct mail. I'm like, it's just like the noise of the community might have just messed with my head a little bit. So I think that's a natural thing. And my point on it was like the networking stuff is great, but you got to try to block out some noise, especially the negative noise, because there's a lot of people doing really, really well in whatever niche or whatever strategy someone is doing that's saying it's not working.
Yeah, and that's my God, there was a lot of juice in that one, right? Like, like
I was
what
sorry, Robin. I was literally saying to Derek, our coach, I was like, should we not even push direct mail anymore? Like, I just and it was like I didn't even realize what I was saying. And I've been a proponent of direct mail, not even I mean just standard old fashioned direct mail, like where it's I believe in custom things. I believe in direct. After talking to him, he's like, I have all these people. Like, here's some successes. Like here, and he took me through like his chats with his coaching students. I'm like, oh my gosh, and I realized it happened to me. Like you see people doing something, you hear people, whatever it is, and it's just not a lot of times the people that complain or that situation, I'm not saying it's everybody, but it's like they failed one time and then they stopped and then they like this doesn't work.
Yeah, and like from my perspective, it is like the business has matured. I don't know if you would stack on that too, right? Like the business has matured the last 2, 3 years. So we're really running businesses. And what I see happening is, and I don't know where that really is coming from, but we have especially in the land investing space, there's like short-sighted view on the business, right? Like when you sign up and build a construction company or a restaurant, every one of us, is there somebody on the chat like Glenn, John, did you ever think about like putting up a restaurant like once in your life, even if you don't want to, never did it, right? It was probably because for the reason, like every one of us did that. Oh yeah, it would be so amazing to have a bar, a restaurant like that. But we didn't do it because, you need to come up with a lot of money. You need to spend a lot of time and play it long term, right? That it turns out to be good, right? That's probably why we didn't do it. Like when we really faced the reality, and maybe we never wanted to run a restaurant, but we had I just wanted to use that as a metaphor. But I think in our business, it's more important than ever to plan like in a 12-month cycle and then do something for 12 months. And a lot of this like voices I hear, it's like, oh, direct mail is not working anymore. Oh, texting is not working. Oh, ringless voicemail. Like, and then you really ask and look behind the curtains and you ask them like, okay, how many pieces of direct mail did you send? How many text messages did you send? Over what period of time? And then, oh, I sent 500. Okay, so now we have a sample size of 500 in a more competitive industry, and you want to tell me it's not working because you send 500 mailers? No, that's not the key. Like I think when you really want to do this business, you need to look like when I send 2,000 pieces of mail for 12 months, then I maybe can tell like, this is not working because I didn't get any replies. But that's a sample set that we probably need to use and not like a 500 mailer sample size, right? Or texting. And one of the things I was realizing, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, is everyone is always asking, is it now text? Is it direct mail? Is it ringless voicemail? Is it call calling? What is working? My personal answer to that, like doing this for 6 years now, it's all of it, right? Like you need to just be consistent in your communication. Whatever you do over a certain period of time will lead you to success. And I think when you stack up different acquisition methods, I had a call with our friend Clay Hepler about that like half a year ago. We are talking about because I was asking him too, and he said, like, and this is how I built my business too. It's like you need to just like do everything because you reach different demographics, you reach different people over different methods. And in the best case, you hit like one person 4 or 5 times with 4 or 5 channels, right? Then they heard from you like from different channels. This be something good. Do you agree on that, or do you have any distinction around like what are the things that are working right now?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what you're doing, I think it's one, consistency, like you just said, but two, you need to have your operations dialed in. I think direct mail probably has the simplest in terms of just operations responding to people because there's just not many responses. I think texting, you need a little more operational savvy in terms of like, what's the process? What does it look like for a lead coming in? Like, is it just like, all right, we just deal with it when they come in? But I think a lot of it is, like you said, 100% consistency. And then also like having operations lined up where you can, how fast can you get a lead from that first conversation to getting an offer to them, especially if it is like a text where it's just a generic reaching out text, whatever it is, getting them to an offer percentage. So I think any of them can work 100%. Like there's nothing, no data showing. Are there types of mail that are more efficient? I think 100%. Are there initial text message that probably get a better response? Yeah. But I think any of them can work. It goes into the operations, your salesmanship, because salesmanship is like a lot of people like try to ignore that. Ajay does a really good job of like talking about sales. Like there's some people, I think Clay does a really good job. Like sales is a real part of it. Clay's really into data as well. So yeah, I mean, it's operations, it's knowing your numbers, but you got to be consistent. I don't care what marketing method. I think again, your marketing method should align with your life too. Like there are different operational demands for different marketing methods. If you're working 9 to 6, it's going to be harder to send a couple thousand texts per day than if you are a full-time land investor, or maybe you work night shift and you have a few hours in the morning. Like your marketing method should align with your life, and like it should be efficient with your life. Direct mail works for a lot of people who have full-time jobs versus other things that might be a little more time consuming.
I like this distinction. That's really great, and I see the same. For me, like from my perspective, this is one piece. It needs to align with what you're doing, especially when you're still having a full-time job like a W-2 or something. The second thing I think, when I think about the push methods, there's a lot of things where you also can pull in people, right? Like SEO and PPC and all that, right? Like, but when I talk about this traditional methods of outreach and lead generation, like when you go from texting to call calling to neutral letters to blind offers, I always say like you need to make the decision where do you want to spend your time on and when. Does that make sense? Because when you do blind offers, you probably spend a lot of time on the data modeling,
Yep.
right? But when you have that nailed, then you put it in the mail, sequence that out, and it's just sending, right? And the people that are calling you, they want to yell at you, right? That's a one thing, but like they're probably really interested, like, and just want to get over through some details, or they even just send you a contract. But you spend your time like a lot on the data piece of that to bring that together and make it better there. While when you're texting on like, which is probably the lowest cost per response, but it's also like you need to spend a lot of time with these people and go through a lot of them to get to a result too, right? And I would say the other things are in the middle in between, right? So this is something where, from my opinion, you need to be really aware of, like when you decide how do I do lead generation, what method do I use, or do I all of them, that everything comes with a different operational capacity in form of when do things happening and how can I integrate that in my life um to also like like a cost perspective in the back end too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, budget coming in is really, really important for lining up. Like, if you only have a budget for, I don't know, a few thousand mailers, let's probably not do mail from the start because you're going to go out of business really fast. That's like a restaurant only having enough money to buy food for the first couple of days of their restaurant opening. So yeah, it does. Those are two things when we're talking to people who are first getting started, when we're choosing a marketing method, because I really don't care what they choose. As long as it aligns with one, their goals and goals slash like a life situation, and two, kind of with the budget. Like you want to align it with the budget. You talked earlier about also multi-market, like multi touching people in different ways in terms of marketing, text message, direct, whatever it is, combining them. I think it's great. I think your operations have to be even better, more sound. I think you got to understand the sequence of things, but I would much rather be a master at one of the outreach methods opposed to being like okay at texting and follow or mail and follow up texting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I see that too. Let's talk a little bit about comping, because I think nobody's talking about comping, and it's probably like one of the reasons why, for me, why a lot of deals die, right? Like, we get a lot of deals submitted here that people want to do with us. You probably do too. I know you fund deals too, right? Um, how do you see like the comping process in 2026? We have all this AI solutions out there. Land Portal is one of them that gives you like a pretty good report about the property, but like how do you think where's comping at in 2026? At like where are we? March 19th, right? Like for the record here, where are we at with that? How good are all these like tools in right now, and how do you think should people deal with that in their operations day to day?
I think it is a tool at the end of the day. Like I think it is. I will never buy a property. Like I'll never see like, okay, a seller called me in. They're asking for $40,000. Land portal estimate says 80,000. All right, let's send this the title. Like that will never I don't care how confident I am in it. Like that till the day I die, I'm not going to not look at things myself and not use a machine to do it. That being said, like there are like I feel very confident in land portal's comping, but it is a first line of defense, and it might be part of your sequence, like part of your operations are like, okay, let's compare what their seller's asking for and what land portal estimate is, and then we're going to gauge motivation based on that. We're going to gauge urgency. If something that same situation I just said, if a seller called into my call service or texted me back and like, yeah, I want $40,000 and land portal estimate says $80,000, I'm sure as hell not going to wait a week to call them back. You know what I mean? Like that is high urgency. So I think what these tools can do is work with your operations. I had a meeting with someone, and we can get into AI later. I had a meeting with someone yesterday he has like legitimately 50 AI agents. He has no employees. He has an extremely high level business. The AI is doing everything up till talking. He has a lead service that's getting him the leads. The AI agents, the AI bots are analyzing from soil report to combining different comp reports, taking like seller motivation, and then like this is all happening instantaneously when they're coming in, and then they can reach out with all this information. So That being said, comping is something you need to do yourself at the end of the day when you're deciding to put your money out or not. I think it should be done. You should know how to do it yourself, and everyone's strategy is a little different.
Yeah. I see it the same. I think in the comping phase, like in the end, what is comping is like a data compilation you do, right? Like you compile data that you pull from somewhere, right? And give it like an idea. And sometimes it's I was on a conversation before this call was my head of deals, Holly, was like a pretty big funder in the industry. And we're talking about like underwriting in this. And in the very end, I think that the hardest part to teach AI in these days is like the human touch to see how do things look like physically, like when I pull a comp, is that farmland or is that trees, and if yes, how many trees are on there, and are the trees cut? Right, do I see, I don't know, a power line going through the property, or do I see a septic tank, like like this little pipes that come out of the soil, right, like out of the ground, right? Do I see stuff like this, right? And this is like what we do it like internally here. It's a human run process, and it's what I always see is like people make decisions about deals in this process, and it's the first thing they give to a VA in their operation normally. And it's from my perspective, that's a huge mistake because like you need to put your brain behind that, because now you make the decision, what do I buy that for to sell it for and what do I sell it for? And now is where the chain breaks, right? This is what I see happening over and over again. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I agree. You should I think sales is I mean, it matters what your skill set is for sure, but someone like I see it all the time with people over hiring things uh, from the start in terms of like something they're not very good at and then they hire. And I don't think it's just comping. Like it's someone who is not good, but comping's so important. And that's the thing. And it can be the biggest mistakes, like buying $100,000 property that's worth $50,000 because a VA told you to buy it is probably not the way to run your business. So yeah, I think people, I wouldn't even say shortcuts. People try to outsource too fast, whether it's to AI or it's to a VA or something like that. Comping is something you need to learn. There's so much value in it as you grow in your land business. It's just because there's so much nuance to evaluating the value of property, and sometimes you need like the amount of ways I like the stages of comping out a property. It's really deep, and especially when you get in rural America. Like I'm trying to buy this is a theoretical. You're trying to buy a 6 acre property and there's no comps within 4 to 8 acres within 20 miles. Like, what do you do? But you think it's a really good price and you got to make a decision based on that. Or you got to find out what's my strategy to find out what this piece of land is actually worth. So there's a lot of nuance to it that I don't think you can teach it eventually, but it's so much practice and you got to be very confident in it first.
I love it. Ron, I always ask like everyone that's on this podcast that one question, right? Where do you see the land industry right now, like the land investing space, and how do you see it like developing in the next two, three? I wouldn't even say 5 years, because like we don't know what this will look like in 5 years. Probably in these days, what change things are changing fast. But what do you think is a good snapshot compared like to like 2, 3 years ago? Where are we today, and where are we heading into?
Yeah, I think 2, 3 years ago, like it was just like if you're consistent, you're gonna be fine. I really, really do in terms of that. I think right now what I'm seeing is too many people running to niches, like too many people like the only way to do this business is being in a niche. And like I just see too many people too successful who are just double closing and they're flipping land, like they're not doing anything else. So I think there's like a lot of people sprinting to niches, whether it's putting mobile homes on. I don't I a lot of this stuff I think is amazing, but it is not the only way to be successful. I think what right now we're in it is marketing and like operations, like how you can be minimally, you need your marketing and your operations to be sound along with that consistency that I talked about a few years ago. You do not necessarily need to have some crazy niche, to be able to clear land, to be able to put mobile homes, all these other things. If your marketing operations and sales are in place and then you're consistently marketing, I think that kind of goes hand in hand. You'll be fine. What we maybe down the road, it is going to be like you have to be doing something to the land. But I don't, a lot of people think we're at that point. Maybe there's people on this call who think we're at this point. I just am talking to too many people who are sending 20, 30, 50,000 texts per month. They're getting 3, 4 deals a month. They're making 100 grand a month, buying and flipping or double closing. It's because their operations and their marketing, just their marketing is locked in. One form of marketing to it with a lot of these people.
I see it the same. It's like really this three things: have the operations dialed in, have the consistency dialed in. I think that that leads to success. What are you thinking? Like, how will the whole like shift in the world? I mean, we're in the data business if you want to break it down, right? Like, that's what we do in the data and the marketing business. How do you think like AI and the things how it's changing the world right now will affect the land investing industry?
Um,
And I don't ask you for a fact, right? Like I ask you, like, what's your personal opinion on
no,
that?
I
Because
understand.
probably
Yeah,
everyone's
there's
is
no fact
different.
here. If anyone says they know the fact, they're lying to you. There's no, it's definitely up for interpretation. Yeah, I don't know, honestly. Like I think from just like very microcosm, I think people's operations are going to be better. Like I think AI is naturally going to help people do the business more effectively on a day-to-day basis. I think there's more opportunity of people who have a 9 to 5 job. On the big picture, I kind of struggle with it. There's a lot of directions. There's also a lot of issues with AI that a lot of people kind of like AI. I believe, I'm not saying it's a fact. I believe AI is in much more of a bubble than people realize. I think there's a lot of AI companies that are inflated in terms of their value and they're not making any money. And these data centers are insanely expensive. I think AI is going to change a lot. I think it's a slight bubble right now. I think some companies obviously will make it with it, but there's going to be a ton of companies that go belly up in AI because they're not profiting. Like they have investors, they have a $1 billion valuation, but they are not making money because it is a really, really expensive business to run from their side. There's infrastructure, unlike other things in the past. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really answer the question, but microcosm, I think people's businesses are going to become better. Like, I think you have to be using it in your business to some degree. Maybe you don't have 50 AI agents within your business, but if you're not using it to just improve your day to day operations, I think you're going to get put behind a little bit.
I love that. It's pretty granular. And I had a discussion with my coach like last week, and you know what I said to him is like, whatever we think will happen is we really don't know because it will have an effect in a way that we can't see it. So the best we can do is utilize whatever we have today in the best way, how we can utilize it today, right? This is
Mhm.
how I think about that. So,
It
um, go
It's
ahead.
like it's so amazing, and I think people are so mind blown that they almost don't see the gaps in it. Like they don't see
Yeah,
when it tells you the wrong stuff because it
yeah.
tells you the wrong stuff a lot. AI has what's called hallucinations in AI because AI needs to have an answer, and if AI doesn't have any details on it, it's going to hallucinate and just give you an answer. Like it's going to make up an answer. AI also uses public information. So you literally have giant amount of bots that are trying to create fake public information to drive AI's what AI is saying. So there's gaps in it that I think a lot of us, and myself included, are kind of oblivious to maybe because it's mind blowing still.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good distinction. Like for somebody that's right now stuck a little bit in this industry, right? Or started, like or wants to level up. Like what do you think what would you recommend somebody like this to do as of today? Like we talked about operations, consistent marketing, like where should we start? Where should you go? Like maybe give us a little bit of last words around that and then we open it up for Q&A here.
Are you talking about regarding AI or just in general?
In general in the business, like how do I bring my business back on track because it has been a little bit more challenging, right? agree probably on that. And I think you were on with Seth Williams like 2, 3 months ago in a roundtable situation, and I listened like what you were saying. It's like everyone is seeing a little bit of a decrease in everything. I think a lot of people are discouraged. Like, what would be a couple of last words to encourage people? Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is a path you're going to follow or should follow, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I like I don't really get down about the business, but whenever I like have these conversations and I reflect, like if there was a business I could get into today, I forgot everything about land, everything about everything, and I'm like, I want to be an entrepreneur, and land was presented along with five other business models, I'd still pick land. Like I not forgetting like the opportunity. If a lot of people compare and like get down about the opportunity in land relative to 6 years ago, like it's not 6 years ago, but it's also not 6 years from now. It is today. So like I think just the opportunity in it, and I think most people in land feel that if they've had some success, like you can present a lot of different businesses, it's still the business model they would choose. But if you're trying to like, I'm very, very optimistic in texting right now, in terms of just you got to be doing it the right way. And in terms of reaching out to people, texting people, be compliant on all of that. But I think texting is a great way if you're just getting started to have a lot of conversations with people, give yourself a really good opportunity to get deals for relatively cheap, relative to if you're sending direct mail. It's a lot cheaper to send 20,000 text messages out than 20,000 pieces of direct mail, especially if you're first starting. Mistakes are a lot cheaper with texting.
Yeah. I think that's good advice. Thank you for that. Where can people find you? Like, I mean, the land portal is obvious. We talked a lot about that, but I know you have a lot of other stuff like going on, right?
Yeah, we do a podcast there on Apke Brothers, YouTube, the Real Estate Investing Podcast on Spotify, any audio stuff. Ron Apke on Instagram. So I'm not a big Instagram guy, but there's some stuff on there. But yeah, Apke Brothers on YouTube. And yeah, Real Estate Investing on the Real Estate Investing Podcast on Spotify, all the audio.
I love it. And we make sure that it's like under the links on all the socials. Musa will take care of that. So that said, Ron, thank you so much for spending some time here. And I want to go straight over, guys, like in a little Q&A. Ron said like, hey, yeah, we're going to do this in the end of the call. So if you have any questions to him, anything, put them in the chat or raise your hand that Musaf can open your speaker slot up. And there was one question in the chat here from Tina. And she asked, like, tell me one of your hidden secrets for success, one key indicator, something I don't know yet.
I don't know what you don't know, Tina. Um, um, For me, like, and it's not like a secret by any means, but for me, like, it's if anything I get into, like, if I believe in it when I'm getting into it, like, it's just consistency at the end of the day. Like, it's not a secret by any means, but the people who, the people who are successful just really just didn't give up. Like anyone who was successful could have failed if they quit after one day or one month or like the amount of people I talked to that just got nothing for the first 6 months. I love those stories, and they're the most successful long term. The people who quote unquote fail, they didn't fail. The people that didn't have success in this business for the first 6 months because they are so much more resilient long term in the business. The people who have day one success are sometimes when they go from day 180 to day 270 without any deals, they beat themselves up or whatever it is, or maybe they quit then. But yeah, the resiliency I think is really important. I know that's probably you've probably heard that before, Tina, but something I see a very consistent trait in people who are successful.
I love that. And dude, I needed 12 months to do my first one, right?
I
So I'm
love
one
it.
of those people, right? Like it's really and I agree with you so much on that. Like when you found a business and then live that business and do it for a certain period of time. And like, in what I see happening a lot, especially in times of social media, of like, like there's always something else. The grass like seems always to be greener somewhere else. But I think, even in our industry, right? Like we see right now all this land home packages and subdivides and entitlements and wholesale, and that's all valid and you can do it. But I always think like, and you said that earlier too, like focus on one thing and master it, right? And then you can like look when you have this whole thing That whole thing, you have it like literally together when you just like do it, focus on it, make it better every day. And also, like, one of the things in this business where not a lot of people talk publicly about, and you touched on that, is, they you always see, like, especially when you have the educators out there, this guy made 170 grand in the first 30 days, but that he didn't do a deal for the next 270 days, nobody's talking about that, right? Like, so this business comes in waves too. Yeah, like that was my experience. Maybe you can say a little bit about that, but it's like you plateau, and then suddenly it's like boom, and then you plateau again, and then it's like boom, right? And I think that's where people really get discouraged, right? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's the truth. Like it is not most days, if you look at it like that, like most days you fail in this business. Like you do 20 deals a year, you might have made 500 grand. You failed for 345 days in the year. Like if you look at it like that, like how many days did I not get a deal? A lot of days. Like it is really like that. And it can be tough. I remember tough conversations with Daniel and I when we first started. Like, all right, we were doing like, just what, and you just got to go back to like, what adjustments can we make? What can we do better? Because so many people try to blame the business. There's too many successful people to blame the business. You know what I mean? Like people always like try to blame external factors. This doesn't work. That doesn't work. Whatever it is, I promise you there's someone doing something successfully that you're saying doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree on that. Nate had here like two good questions, I think. The one was, what's the one thing your students consistently get wrong that costs them deals?
I wouldn't say get wrong, but I think they don't focus on sales enough, building relationships with sellers, like really problem solving with sellers. Like this is a weird business in terms of like sales because we're trying to buy something. Michael, who was on last week, if you guys were on with Michael, Michael's really successful in this business in terms of flipping land. He's done a lot of deals, and he is a tech guy. Like he comes from IT, comes from coding world. Like he is not a salesman, but he used to be like a D plus salesperson. He probably got that. He's not an A plus salesperson, but he practiced, he read, and he got probably up to B plus. Like it's not his, he doesn't love it doing
I
sales.
will tell him that you said B plus,
Yeah,
right?
B minus.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's like it's improving the gaps and like like how do you close deals talking to people? At the end of the day, like you got to. I think people just overlook the gaps, and there's salespeople that are sales oriented who struggle with other parts of the business. But Nathan, to answer your question, yeah, I think sales, talking to people, improving that it is an improvement thing. And I see so many people who like delay tough conversations. So that's kind of going hand in hand with that. Maybe someone's asking for 100 grand. You're like, I can't offer more than 70. What's the point of this conversation? What's the point of even saying that to them? Like, I'm going to get yelled at. There's in our community alone, I bet there's 20 deals a week that are lost in that. And I push it back on all of our people. Like, I'm like, you got shoot your number. I once negotiated. We're talking about wetlands earlier. I negotiated a piece of land that was. I offered 15,000. This is before Land Portal. I offered 15,000. I got it back. It was 98% wetlands. I'm like, I'll pay you $1,000. Like I assumed he'd say no. He didn't say no. We bought it for $1,000 and sold it for like 9 grand. Like I had no clue what I was gonna sell it for. Like I could have ended up losing money still. But I was like, I offered $1,000. I was expecting him to say no, but I'll give him what I offered. So shooting your shot, I think, is really big.
Yeah, and like, I think one of the most common objections, like I hear, like across partners that we're working with, is really close here in the land autopilot, is like, oh, I just have leads that want retail, and this is half the part of the story, right? Like, yeah, this is what they tell you, like, but I think a huge thing, where I see a lot of people leaving money on the table is like in a qualification call. It's exploring, of course, what are their price expectations, but what's even more important is like, how do I build rapport? How do I build a relationship? How do I um, see really into the motivation? Because it's so easy to say for a seller where you probably are the 12th person calling them in the last 4 weeks or texting them or they're on the phone with, right? Or the 20th to say, oh, I want $500,000, otherwise I wouldn't talk. What he really does right now is like pushing you away because he knows when you say that, when he says that, like you could never call again, right? So, and I see the most like, and Ajay is really big on that. You talked about him, right? And other people like really getting down this rabbit hole, like, hey, what would change when we would work together, right? Because you can pay what you can pay, and like, I have done deals in my life where people did deals and they were knowing I pay them 50%, 60% of market value, but there were factors in the conversations we had where they valued that more than the actual dollar amount that we paid them, right? And I see this is where a lot of deals are going south, right?
Yep.
Nate asked another good question here. How does your underwriting change when your exit is selling to a home builder versus a retail flip?
One second, let me read that. How's your underwriting change when you exit? We don't do many selling to home builders. We have a lot of people on Land Portal that do that, and I don't like to speak out of my expertise, Robin. I'm very transparent in terms of that. It's not like I rarely do that in terms of selling to home builders. It's not my common thing. Like I'm not doing entitlements at a high level, anything like that. I'm not like, I know a lot of people flip in for a lot of stuff like that and they have home builders. Um, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people who are doing it, like they have a builder list. They have list. If you have a buyer lined up, and you can find the land, like make the difference. Like your offer should be what you're comfortable with making. So yeah, I mean, if you have an end buyer that you feel confident in though, like if the end buyer comes back, yeah, never mind, I can't offer that 20,000, I'm offering 15, and you have the seller under contract for 13, like now that deal doesn't make sense. But yeah, I mean, it's not a business model I've done lining up buyers before finding the sellers. I'm always seller first, comp the land, and then find a buyer, or buy it, find a buyer. So yeah, I mean, I think your margin just is what you want it to be at that point.
Yeah, and I think there's two distinctions to that. The first one is you're in a model that Ron describes. The second one is, and I think this is where Nate is coming from. Um, it's like when do you exit to developments, right? Like when do you access to
Yep.
developers? And like the thing is underwriting for development is like a complete different rabbit hole you go down because on a flip, we just look at market data, right? When you underwrite to exit to a home builder, you look at what could it potentially be and what are the roadblockers on there, right? Like, there last month we just canceled a deal on an entitlement. It was a 150 house entitlement project because there was like a mouse living on that property that was protected species. We found it out in third months of due diligence, right? And like, yeah, there's the mouse. And now suddenly the multi-million-dollar deal is like so it's like a complete different thing. And like I was on before this on a call with my friend Alex Zaidov, and they do entitlements. They have a nice community around that. We'll have them on soon, and he can probably talk a lot about this. But it's they like entitlement guys. They say no to probably 95 out of 100 deals that get presented because they find anything in the initial underwriting that doesn't serve them. That can
Yep.
be the diameter of a sewer line, right? Like stuff like that. And you never know. It's a really complex thing to do that. And you want to probably have somebody that has expertise on your team when you underwrite your deals because what it really changes is everything. It changes how your contracts are structured. It changes what you offer to the seller. It changes the entire conversation with the seller because when you really go in an entitlement project over for 50, 100 or 150 houses, we talk about timelines 2, 3, 4 years until they get paid often, right? They get a couple of EMDs on the way, but it's a complete different conversation. So we have time for a last a question here. Nate has another one. Can you give us some
Robin, you mind if I
insights?
put I'm gonna put I can put a link. I interviewed a home builder relatively recently,
Yeah,
it was for a big Southeast company. I'll put that in the currently
let's do
participation.
it. Put it on here.
Let's see. Oh, it
Um,
looks like I can't put it in there, Musaf, in terms of a link.
Shoot it
Saying I
over
can
to
only
me
put
on
it.
a text message. I'm gonna drop it here probably.
Wait, hold on. I might have got it. There we go.
There we
Yeah, that
go.
was a home builder that I interviewed. Really, really high level home builder. Works for a decent sized company. But yeah, I can answer Nathan's other question. Sorry. Can you give us some insights into the new features you're currently developing Land Portal? Um, yeah, I mean, we have a lot of stuff. So what we did recently was, and I don't think many people have it. So what we added recently was Google Earth to Land Portal where you have Google Maps and then you also have Google Street View within there, which it's a way bigger project than I would like. It took about 6 months to do that. We had to redo everything in terms of our property outlines, everything like that. So we had that layer on there, which is a past update in terms of that. Future stuff, I think building in some AI with it, Nathan, is really big in terms of chatbots helping market selection. Like that's going to be a part of it. I think that's probably next 6, 12 months, something like that. Big part of it. Just making it cleaner. Like one of the things how we built Land Portal is with suggestions. Like we built it from people. Like initially, we built it for our business. Like I want to get rid of wetlands, this, that, this, whatever. And in the last 18 months, it's been built all from our high volume users or even our lower volume users who are just like, you hear the same thing over and over. Like, okay, this makes sense because you don't want to overload the software with things that aren't necessary. But that being said, like we've built this software from users, like from feedback, everything like that. Like you guys give us, anyone in here gives us feedback, like we take it seriously.
I think that's great. That's great. Ron, we're on the top of the hour. I want to say thank you, and I hope like everyone else is like the same thing. There was like so much juice in this conversation, like a lot of great advice, a lot of great opinions, and I'm sure we'll have you on like another time soon. And thank you so much. Talk to you soon, and everyone else, thank you for chiming in, listening to us. And I had a blast. I hope you had too. And see everyone next week. And I think next week we have David Olds from Easy REI Closings. He will talk about transactional coordination, and like he has seen like so many deals. There will be a lot of good stories in that, so we probably want to be around. And with that said. For all of our members with our comms call at 3 p.m. today was Holly, so you want to probably chime in there. And I say thank you so much. Talk to you soon, and have a great day, guys.
Thanks, everybody.